Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Bible studies for the Needville United Methodist Church. Every Wednesday, of course, we have our Bible study here. We are into looking at the Psalms. Last week, we looked at the 23rd Psalm. This week, we're going to look at the very first of the Psalms, Psalm 1. I encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to hit that subscribe button down below, hit the like button on the video, and use the comment section below to let me know what you think, not only about the video, but also the whole point of this series of Bible study is for us to look at all of the Psalms. And if you notice, there's hundreds of Psalms choose from. So obviously we're not going to go through every single one of them. So if you have one that you particularly like, one that you have always had questions about or would like to hear more about, use the comment section below and let me know what Psalms you'd like to hear us talk about through this series, so that we can get a little more input, a little more back and forth between us. Also use the comment section. Let me know what you think, about the study, what you think about anything else, what I could do to improve the video. Always looking for things, new ways to do that. That being said, let's dive into the first Psalm, the first one that we get to come to. And it's a really interesting Psalm. It's a good way to start the Psalms. It's also a great way to just kind of start your day, honestly. If you're looking for a Psalm that you can read on a daily basis to just give yourself that little extra in the mornings, to get you through things, or maybe when you're in that, when you're face to face with a difficult decision, this Psalm can really bring a lot of insight, a lot of courage, and a lot of ability to you as you listen to the words of the psalmist. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm not at 100%. I've got a head cold. So if you hear me sniffling, that would be the reason. So the psalm starts with, happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or take the path that sinners tread, or sit in the seat of scoffers, but their delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law they meditate day and night. Now, what's really interesting about this whole piece is the fact that when Jewish people talk about the law, what they're talking about is the Torah. Now, we wouldn't necessarily say that when we think the law, we probably think, oh, 10 commandments, right? Thou shalt not da 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 da. Love, put and have no gods before me, honor thy father and mother, all that kind of stuff, right? But for the Jews, the law wasn't just the 10 commandments. It was the first 5 books of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. And so it's not just the fact that God has laws that you have to follow. It was God's instruction to people. Now, when you think about it that way, what it's saying is you have 2 places you can get instruction on how to live your life. You can get it from the wicked, from the world, from the outside, or you can get it from God. And the psalmist really wants to hammer this point home of, you follow the world, you follow the wicked, it's not going to go well for you. If you follow God, then it may be weird and it may be not what you wanted and may be off the beaten path, but it's going to be righteous. And on his law, they meditate day and night, basically meaning, look, you've got to follow the instructions of God every second of every day. You don't get to take a break off. You don't get to take a time out. That's not how it works. We should want to be instructed by God the entire time, and he wants to instruct us as well. Then he gives us a good metaphor, right? An image of what this means. What does it mean to say that you follow the world, right? What does it mean to follow the advice of the wicked? Take the path that sinners tread, sit in the seat of scoffers. And then, of course, what does it mean to follow the instructions of the Bible? Follow the instructions of God? And for us as Christians, we can say, follow the instructions of Christ, follow Christ himself. And the third verse of the first Psalm tells us exactly what it looks like to have that happen. It says, those that follow the instruction of God, they are like trees planted by streams of water, which yield their fruit in season, and their leaves do not wither. In all that they do, they prosper. Now, I want to put a caveat here to this word, because especially in the world that we live in, we have so many who have taken this word to mean, oh, if I do what God tells me to do, if I follow the instruction of God, if I pray hard enough, if I have faith strong enough, then somehow my bank account is going to get bigger, and my cars are going to get nicer, and my house is going to get nicer, and I'm going to prosper here on earth. It's where we get the term the prosperity gospel that is preached a lot over the airways and through televangelists and so on and so forth. Not all. I don't, I never want to deal in absolutes of everyone that does that preaches the prosperity gospel, but you understand what I mean. The prosperity gospel is something that is being preached on a daily basis throughout the world, and especially over the internet, because it's the easiest way to get it to. And what the prosperity gospel teaches is, if you follow God, if you follow Christ, if you have a strong enough prayer life and a strong enough faith, and if you follow those instructions to the best of your ability, then you will not only reap the reward, but the reward will be here, now, right this second, in earthly prizes, in earthly prospering. What the psalmist knows, and what anyone else who knows Christ and knows God about knows, is that prosperity isn't about what happens here. All of us know what happens when we follow God. There's a lot of times when we follow God and things get tremendously worse around us. You follow God and you lose friends, you lose family members, you lose your job, you lose stuff because you followed God. Well, that doesn't seem like it's prospering you here, but it's prospering you in your righteousness. It prospers you in the eternal. Jesus tells us that you are storing up things for the afterlife, for heaven, storing up treasures in heaven. You don't get to see those treasures until after. And so that's why I wanted to really focus on that particular verse, because it says that in all that they do, they prosper. But the psalmist is talking about a different kind of prospering. The prospering he's talking about is the blessing of the relationship between you and God, that relationship continues to get better and better and better. And that is the prospering that comes. The end of the psalm talks more about the negative side. The wicked are not so. They are like chaff that the wind drives away. Therefore, the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish. I love C.S. Lewis in his book Mere Christianity talks about the difference between trying to live the righteous life with God and without God. And he says, and his statement is that the virtual, or the not the virtual, the virtuous, sorry, the virtuous life is significantly harder when you try to follow Christ than when you try to follow the world. He said, but here's the difference. When you try to follow Christ, you have help. When you try to follow the world, you will get absolutely none. You have to do it by yourself. So when the psalmist comes out and says, for the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish, it's the fact that God is with those that are on the righteous path, regardless of what the world may think of them, regardless of what the world may say about them. God is with them. And as the scriptures say, what if God is for us, then who can be against us, right? The wicked will not stand in judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. He's talking about the end of times, the end judgment, not here and now and the regular stuff, because of course we sit with sinners in the congregation. We all sin, right? He's talking about the real church, the real congregation, the real world where God is in charge of all things and the final judgment has been passed. It's a glorious, hope-filled psalm to end with. And I hope that you hear that hope when you follow God, no matter where it may take you, because I guarantee it's probably taking you somewhere you didn't expect to be or didn't know you were going to go to. But there's that hope that says when you are in the way of the righteous, God is watching you. God is with you. You're taken care of. But the way of the wicked will perish. I hope and pray that you find that way with God, that righteous way, and use this psalm. Read it in the mornings when you get up in the morning, or read it when you feel like, I don't like where I am. I followed God, but I don't like where I am. Read this scripture and be comforted in knowing that God is with you. May God bless you until we get to meet again.